credentials for this year. And then after coach is done, we'll go down to the wrestling room, go down the stairs to the second floor, and then to the left. So without further ado, Coach Brand.
James, is there a transcript?
Yes, there will be a transcript. So speak up with questions.
I read those transcripts, man, I gotta like talk like slower, you know, more like a robot. Then people could really get something out of those transcripts. Because you get going and you talk too fast, and the transcript kind of gets confusing. Hamilton, what are you smiling at? It's great to see awesome people here, that's for sure. Every year it's a big reunion here for this media day. I don't really have an opening statement. I know for the first time in my coaching career, and even dating back to when I was an assistant with Gable and Jim Zaleski, the way that last season, the path and things that happened that were unfortunate, we have to put our best team on the mat. We have to be able to put our best wrestlers on the mat. If we can do that, we like where we're at. That's my opening statement. So,
Tom, can I just ask you about Spencer Lee and how is he? But in addition to that, do you have a word or a phrase to describe his journey at Iowa?
He's resilient, and he is incredibly focused on the next thing to get himself on the mat. He's never wavered from that mission. That's a great testament, and you can say great, incredible, tremendous. You can say all those adjectives over and over and over again. The bottom line about him is he's never wavered in his quest to be the best wrestler on the planet, and that's still the case. And it's funny because a lot of, and when I say it's funny, it's not funny. It's unique because a lot of civilians don't understand like that quest, and he's never wavered from it. And what I mean by that is there's so much like turmoil and there's so much adversity that you have to overcome, and then he overcomes it just with his frame of mind, his mindset, and how he marches. And I remember one of the first things that I remember that was unique about this guy was when he came to campus and we were talking about how he drives. He says, I drive slow. I drive really slow, and the reason why is because I don't want to get in an accident, because if I get in an accident, I might get hurt, and then I can't wrestle. And that's as plain as it gets right there. Wrestling is everything to this guy. And so he's never wavered from his quest to be the best wrestler on the planet. What a tribute. What a tribute.
How'd that mindset get built?
I think, first of all, you give credit to Larry and Kathy Lee. You know the story of his mom. As a competitor, you know the story of his dad as a coach in judo. That, and then the fact that, you know, you got to have something built into you that's just a little bit different gear. And, you know, you get asked about Spencer Lee a lot, so over 6 years, it's like, you know, what can you say that's unique or whatever, and then you come up with something maybe that's a little bit not redundant, and then, like I've said it 3 or 4 times in the last week. You know, I was speaking across town today. I was in Davenport, you know, 2 or 3 weeks ago, and twice. And the thing is, he's got this little gear in him that is just a ferociously competitive gear. And there's probably a little bit of fear built into this guy where, you know, he doesn't want to give the naysayers any foothold. He wants to prove them wrong. And you know what? For his opponents, payback is a bitch. You know what I mean? I mean, payback is tough because he's coming. And he's so humble, and he'll take time for autographs and conversation with all the fans. But make no mistake about who he is as a competitor.
Were his knees or his injuries ever too bad that you were wondering whether he'd come back at all?
I think that's always the case, and the thing is, that's his decision. And what I mean by that, their medical team is phenomenal. You can't give Robbie Westerman and Jesse Donenworth enough credit. But at the same time, there's got to be a can-do attitude in there. It's just a testament to his upbringing. Where does that mentality come from? It starts with his parents, and then he is determined. And the thing is, it's like, is it make or break? And he's right on the cliff, and we're not there. He's going. I mean, he's going. There's progress. So he'll be on the mat.
Yeah, how do you make that decision on when to insert him into the lineup?
I think it's like anything else with anything, even when you make your macro schedule, when you make the University of Iowa wrestling schedule, the right blend. You know, the Big Ten we don't control as much, but the right blend of competition, the right blend, the right date. And with him, and actually that's the case with any individual. It's got to be the right blend. That's a good word.
I also want to ask you about Real Woods coming here. A lot of programs are bringing in new guys. When you recruit someone, you take a long time to get to know them well. The way the system is now, do you have enough time to study someone like Real before he comes in? Did you know his story before he went out? You know, that type of thing? When you say what I'm saying, you bring in, or is it more of a gamble now?
We watched him in our wrestling room at a developmental camp, and he was the real deal. We tried to recruit him. He was going to Stanford. That's the reason why he moved from his home, if you follow that Flow Wrestling documentary. Bright kid. He's about all the right things. The family sacrifices sends him to Montini Catholic in Chicago. And then Stanford drops the program. And, you know, we had a guy named Jaden Ironman, so we're not recruiting him when they drop the program. Well, they reinstate the program. He stays at Stanford. And then after that year, he decides to transfer. Third time's a charm. So we looked at him, you know, initially he chose Stanford, and then when they dropped the program, he was in the portal. So we don't have the resources. We got Ironman coming back, and then when he decided to enter the portal again, we recruited him for the third time, or had our third opportunity.
And when you identify someone in the portal, you're going to really look at someone if you really already know their story, right?
It's not about the portal. It's not about the story. We already did our homework with him. You obviously know the makeup and the background of these guys. It's a small world, especially the higher the level you go. This isn't how I look at the rules, not whether or not I agree with them or whether or not the portal's good or bad, or do we know somebody in the portal. It's the rules, and we operate in the framework of them, and that's how we do it. And with Real Woods' situation, it was a no-brainer. And there were people that were, when I say people, there were other programs that were after him hard, and I'm not sure. I think he was interested, but I think myself and Morningstar flew out and saw him, and I think it was time to be a Hawkeye. If I could speak for him, but you can ask him. He'll be downstairs in a little bit here.
What has he added to your room in the time he's been here?
He is a very confident man. He marches to the beat of a little bit different drummer, which is awesome and okay with us. We love it. We love it. He's got great energy. And the other thing is he's a direct guy. And that's a great, refreshing thing. Student athletes have all the power nowadays, and he doesn't act like it. And so as a transfer especially, you could come in, you know, like that, and he's not like that. He wants to win. And that's a broad definition, winning. That's team and himself. And he wants to develop and get better, so his future internationally he has his eye on the future. So that's what he's about. He's about all the same things that we're about.
Tom, when did you realize that?
What does he do successfully, or what makes him a successful wrestler?
I mean, he can wrestle top, bottom, and neutral, and he's the entire package. He's probably an athletic, explosive guy. You could classify him as that, but I wouldn't make the mistake of pigeonholing him as just a fast twitch, explosive athlete, because he can wrestle in a lot of different positions.
When did you realize that utilizing the transfer portal, because you guys have had some success there, would be a huge part of building the program?
You're asking a question about the portal again. The portal is the world we live in, and we operate in that framework. I mean, that's how we operate. When the portal wasn't there, and you had to wait to get a written whatever, you can talk to them, but they're not released to come to your school. So we'd talk to them, and then maybe after enough gamesmanship, then they would be released to come to your school, and then they'd be released to come to your school. You know, we operated in that framework. So here we are with the portal, and we operate in the framework of those rules.
You obviously won 3 guys or 7 guys in the program. You won 3 titles. No one's won 4. How hard is it to? How much of a career accomplishment, or how difficult is it to actually get 4?
I
4 guys
think
that have ever done it.
Going to 4, the approach was right from the very beginning for Spencer, because he said it. And when he won his first one, I think maybe the question in the media room at the national tournament went to 4, and he said, I'm after the next one. And that's been his marching orders to himself since the first one. And he's definitely wrestling for posterity, for history, but it's the next one.
Coach Patrick Kennedy's been in the room for quite a while, and now he's going to probably see more extensive time on the mat. What excites you about that, and how much better has he gotten since he's been here?
He adds to our lineup very well. You saw all of our All-Americans, many of them graduated, and he gets his turn now. And that's the awesome thing about college athletics. It's quick. You get 5 years to wrestle 4, and then it's the next group in, and that's why it's so refreshingly fun, and why the fans are so engaged. He is a fan favorite now, but make bold predictions, which I'm not in the habit of doing. I think that the fans will gravitate toward him and his style. He's well-spoken. He's direct, but he's also a hard worker, very physical wrestler, and he lives the right lifestyle. Total package. Total package.
Tom, the new facility is being built over here. It'll be done a year from now. Could you talk about not just the future of where your program is going to be with that coming up, but just for wrestling in whole? Will we see more programs doing what you're doing here with this new practice facility?
I don't know if our mission was to try to keep up. I know it was time, and our administration is awesome. They listened, and they listened hard, and then they were full partners, and it was a labor of love for everybody, and everybody was up for it. So here we are. It's going up. We got to keep making progress in every other way. It is a big deal. To me, facilities and media day stuff is great fanfare as it's going up and you see it. When we move into that facility, it will be, the flow is going to be great. It will be the finest wrestling facility on the planet of its kind. And we're excited about that. Right now, it's just a really good conversation piece. And I'm going to tell you something. I'll throw out a shout out to McComas Lucina Construction, an Iowa company that won the bid, and phenomenal people.
Tom, I'm curious with the seniors, consider Max and Tony, for example. When they know they're some of the best in the world, but they place, third, second, fifth at the national championships, or the top 1% are just getting down the feathers, what's the key to them not getting restless and continuing to improve year after year at a continual rate?
Well, I guess the funny thing about anything in life is if you're not the best, then you're not the best. And when you're on that mission, doesn't mean that if I don't accomplish what I'm after, there's not satisfaction. And satisfaction can come in a lot of different ways. I mean, a carrot dangled in front of you can be, I want to say a drug. It can be a catalyst. And it can keep you going, and it's addictive. And when you don't accomplish what you set out to accomplish as a competitor, there's 2 responses. And anything from, not caring and kind of not caring to just quitting is the same. And that's one response. And then the other response is to keep fighting for what I know is going to be mine. And that quest is where the value is. That's what's most important. And you didn't mention Warner. You said Mirren and Cassiope, but Mirren, Warner, Cassiope, Spencer, you know, they're seniors. So good question. Good question.
How would you assess battles at 33, 57, 74 at this point?
33, 3 guys there. Teskey transferred, Shriever, Ibarra. No prediction. 57, I think we're in good hands with all those. It's exciting. It's exciting. 57, Seabrick, and then, you know, we'll see what happens with Reyna and Rachi, and, you know, we'll see. Joe Kelly's certified there. You know, that's interesting and exciting. And 74, you know, you got Swafford and Brands, and both Iowa products. Exciting. That's exciting. How would I assess it? I'd assess it as being incredibly exciting.
With this freshman class, can you talk just a little bit about the opportunity to test them in a situation, not have to burn a red shirt?
Great rule, awesome. NCAA got it right, in my opinion. Again, I didn't have any say in it. It showed up in my email or whatever. Lila Cleary communicated to me. And great rule. So we will use the rule. Love it.
Does Anthony Cassiope still make you smile?
He makes me smile. He makes a lot of people smile. And, you know, he came back from that tournament recently, the U23 Worlds, and he's probably, you know, knowing him, he doesn't dwell on things, but, you know, he maybe left one that got away from him a little bit there. You know, what do you mean? The score was lopsided. Yeah, well, we'll wrestle that 99 more times. And you know what? That's where we got to get better. Because you got to be 100 for 100. You got to be 100 for 100. Just that simple. Love you. Love our guys. Thanks. We'll see you downstairs. Appreciate it.